Massive explosions in Beirut, furious unrest in its wake, and a government in collapse after the entire cabinet resigned. Lebanon is in chaos, its capital in ruins, and leaders across the world have no doubt opened up the foreign aid relief valve as a result. Countries like Germany, the UK, and even the US have stepped in to help out. But when you accept money from Washington, you need to read the fine print.
When we see Lebanese leaders committed to real change in word and deed, America and its international partners will respond to systemic reforms with sustained financial support.
Of course, Mr. Hale forgot to mention that U.S. sanctions are what many to believe the key cause of Lebanon's economic woes. But there is always someone who remembers.
You have seen some countries hypocritically trying to portray themselves as defenders of the Lebanese people and expressing sympathy for the Lebanese people. If they are honest, they should remove the sanctions that they recently passed against the Lebanese government, nation, and people, and stop this hypocrisy.
And Iran definitely knows how that feels. At first, Donald Trump said he'd be willing to give coronavirus aid to Tehran if it asked for it. Then, when the country needed a $5 billion loan from the IMF to deal with the pandemic, Washington protested for some reason. Even the United Nations called on the U.S. to lift its sanctions against the country, only to get a big fat no from Pompeo.
I've heard people talking about sanctions. The world should know there are no sanctions that prevent humanitarian assistance, medical supplies, pharmaceuticals from going to Iran.
In war-torn Syria, it's a similar story. Washington announced a nearly $1 billion increase in 2020 humanitarian assistance at the very same time that it was creating a brand new sanctions regime against the country.
We are maintaining our maximum political and economic pressure. To suspend the imposition of these sanctions, the government of Syria must meet similar conditions to our overall goals.
For a country in crisis, it's not really difficult to get humanitarian aid from Washington. What they usually have to give in return, however, might not be that worth it.